Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm here with another photo tips and tricks video for Infinity Nikki. In this video, I wanted to answer a few questions I had from you guys, and there were only a few, so if I missed any or you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. First, I wanted to start off with some tips on lighting darker skin tones. Ash asked, this is some super helpful advice. Do you think you could do a tutorial for the Passionate Banquet skin tone? I love that we have skin tones, but sometimes Nikki can feel washed out under certain lighting, or her skin can seem ashy, especially with editing that leans more towards high key. Thank you so much for leaving that comment, Ash. I hope this helps. So I tried a few different scenarios and I think I was successful, but please let me know what you guys think. Since they mentioned high key specifically, let's start with that. So to start us off, we are in the realm of escalation. This is my favorite place to take high key shots. It just makes everything so easy. The first thing that we're gonna do is blur that background and then jump right into adjusting contrast. To me, this made Nikki look a little too red, so I adjusted the saturation a bit. I think it has to do with the blush she's wearing as well, but that did help. We also want to make sure that the soft light range and intensity is not too much. Otherwise, you will see that it will blow her out. We do not want that. We want to make sure her skin looks how it should. We really need to be careful not to blow out her skin, and that goes with our lighting as well. With the darker skin tones, a little bit can go a long way here. I want to pick lighting that's going to highlight her features but not wash her out. It's important to keep an eye on your brightness and exposure in this case. You want to underexpose a little bit and then keep an eye on that saturation so you're making sure that the color isn't getting too crazy or too red. So let's do another high key example in the realm of nourishment this time. So I'm going to start by lowering my brightness and my exposure a bit, boosting up the contrast, and then deciding on a light source. Here you can see that's looking a bit washed out, so we're going to lower our soft light intensity and range, and that helps a lot. I tried another one with a different lighting setup, so let me know what you guys think. Do you feel like she looks washed out? Do you feel like the color looks right? Was I successful on this? Please let me know. So that was an example of high key. Let's do just a normal everyday inside photo. So I'm going to start by adjusting my aperture here and then going in to adjust for my brightness and contrast. We've taken the brightness and exposure down just a hair and then boosted up the contrast. Now we're going in to pick a light source. Again, keep in mind that too much light is going to blow her out, so we only want just a slight amount of whatever light source we choose. Now we need to go back for some tweaks for the brightness and exposure just to make sure everything is not overexposed. We're also adjusting for highlights and shadows and then trying to keep that saturation down. I was liking the pink light here, but I also just thought it made her skin look too red, so I went ahead and I changed it to be a white light. This to me looks more accurate as far as her skin tone goes. And once I take down the soft light range, this to me looks pretty good. Let's do a few more shots in this area, then we'll do one at night, and then we will move on to something else. Here again, we've blurred the background, then we're adjusting for shadows, highlights, and contrast. We're picking a light source that we like, and then we will go back to adjust from there. Here's a shot with that pink lighting. I felt it was a little bit too flat, so I actually changed it to be a white light in the back, and I felt that shot was a little bit more successful. I also think that the basic white lights do a good job of lighting Nikki without washing her out and leaving you that contrast. Again, it's all about preference, and it's just which do you prefer. Let's do one more quick example for darker skin tones. We're going to go outside at night and do a night shot. I've started by adjusting my aperture, and then for this one we are going to boost the exposure just a bit. We've also taken the contrast up just a little bit. So far I'm not loving the pose, and everything about this does look a little flat. So we are going to boost that contrast up a bit more, and then we are going to adjust for our light source. I wasn't crazy about that angle, so I've moved angles and then adjusted the light, and this is the photo that we came away with here. I really like this color palette and the flowers here, so I thought we'd try a few more shots with different lighting. And then here are the shots that we came away with. I think they're pretty successful. I don't think she looks washed out. I think her skin tone looks like it should, but please let me know what you guys think. That's really what I'm here to find out, and I hope you agree with me on that one. Next, Sleepy asked, could you please do a guide about silhouette photos? So yeah, let's do it. And Sleepy, I hope this helps. I will say this can be a rather difficult thing to accomplish in-game. We don't have the option to add and block lights where we need to with this, so the trick here is going to be to make sure that you have Nikki against a bright light source and adjust from there. Sunset is the perfect way to try this. I recommend getting settings ready as you will not have a big window to get the shot before the sun sets. All we've done here is first adjust our focal length and aperture, take the soft light range and intensity all the way down and the exposure all the way down. Make sure to boost up your contrast, and then I go back to slightly tweak highlights and shadows along with saturation. As you can see, this gives us a nice black silhouette. Then I'm just playing with poses and model position. Again, keep in mind that moving your camera position and your model position can change the lighting in the shot. As you can see, if we did not have the sun behind Nikki, this would not work. But because of the position of our light source, how bright it is and soft it is, with the adjustments we've made, we've been able to get a very strong dark silhouette. And here are some of those final images. Let's try to do another one here. This time we're going to use the moon instead of the sun. This one is going to be a lot more difficult, and the moon's position is really going to matter here. We need it to be large in the background so that it's going to be able to frame Nikki. This first one here kind of works because we have the clouds in the background framing Nikki, but in my opinion it's a bit too dark, and when we try to brighten it up we sort of lose that silhouette effect. Here is a look at that shot and you can kind of see what I mean. Next, I tried to use the moon to kind of frame her head, kind of like a halo effect. I thought that would be kind of cool. But as you can see, because that light source behind us is not as bright, we are getting some details in the clothing. It's not really a true silhouette here. So what we need to do is make the moon a little bit bigger behind us, make it more prominent. That way you're getting more of that true black because it's brighter in the background. Also, shooting Nikki from the side or from behind is going to allow us to get rid of some of that detail in the clothing. Once I am satisfied with the size of the moon and the darkness that we're getting on the silhouette, I'm going to adjust my pose a little bit and then come away with the final shot that I really like from this shoot. You can still see kind of some detail in the clothes here, but overall I think this is pretty successful, and it would have worked better had I had more room to move in the position that I was in. I kept getting stuck on like a rock or a piece of the bridge or something, so it was kind of hindering me a bit, but overall I'm pretty happy with these shots and I think they were pretty successful. Sleepy, you're the one that asked this question, so I really hope this helped. Let me know in the comments, pretty please. And lastly, I just wanted to talk a bit more about forced perspective. I couldn't find the comment for this one, and it may have just been something that I wrote down and just personally wanted to touch more on, but either way, let's get into it. I've been obsessed with the moon in this update, so let's do a quick forced perspective shot with the moon. This is all about getting the correct positioning and the correct angle to get the shot you're going for. For this, we've zoomed out very far and then we've adjusted our focal length from there. The angle is still not quite right, but I want to go in and add my light source so I can start building my shot. I've gone with that ambient lighting so that it gives Nikki that nice edge light and it's bright and white and clean just like the moonlight. We've slightly boosted contrast and lowered our exposure a bit before tweaking highlights and shadows. Then I've gone back to the light source and brightened it just a hair. And here is that first image. I'm pretty happy with it, but not quite the angle and pose. This second one, just slightly rotated and backed off a bit, is a little bit more successful to me. My problem is that it didn't really look like she was holding the moon, and that's kind of what I was going for, so I changed the pose and I liked this a lot better. Now I'm just going back to adjust the intensity of the ambient light. I also wanted to add a little bit of a dark vignette to the photo, and adjust the soft light so it was a little bit more glowy. I tweaked the highlights and shadows just a bit more and then adjusted my pose, and this is definitely more of the vibe that I was after. Here is another angle of that same shot, and in the end I was pretty happy with them. And that's gonna be it for this one today, guys. If you have questions or anything you want to see regarding photos in Infinity Nikki, please leave it in the comments. I would love to hear what you thought about these photos. If you're someone who left a comment, please let me know if this was helpful to you and answered your questions. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you so much, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. We should be jumping into some Inzoi, and I am so excited. So thank you again so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one.